Hello everyone, just coming to here with you today to do a new technique. I'm just making sure that I can see my images in my iPad so that I know that I've got it in the camera. So how are you? This is Rita Holmes, independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and I'm just coming to you, like I said, with another technique this week. And I just want to share with you that I have a Facebook group called Stamp Crazy VIP where I do Facebook Live videos every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And I also put the PDFs in the file afterwards of the cards and telling you how I did the technique and how I made the card. That is free to you if you belong to my group. I also have a June host code if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you would like some of the products that you see today. I'd be more than happy to have you visit my website at ritaholmes.stampinup.net and use my host code that you see right here, 6D3TJBU6, and place an order with me. So with all that being said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to show you this technique called kissing with three-step stamping. The reason I called this kissing with three-step stamping is because mainly I want to use this set called To a Wild Rose, and it has three-step stamping with the rose. You stamp the full image, then you get your darker colors to kind of give it a 3D effect, and then your outline. And so I'm going to show you how to use these images and do a kissing technique to get a little bit more of a I don't know what I want to call it, not even just a 3D, but just give it more character to the flower itself. So anyway, I'm going to show you the flower in the three-step stamping. This one I did with two colors. I did with Flirty Flamingo and Cajun Craze with the Cajun Craze outline. This one I did with Flirty Flamingo with overlapping of Calypso Coral with the Cajun Craze outline. So you can see the difference in the two flowers, and you can use it multiple different ways. Now what I did with this flower, and you're going to see a little bit of difference, is I used the Flirty Flamingo, I used the overlay in the Calypso Coral, and then I did that overlay stamped onto the birch background stamp, and then I did my Cajun Craze outline. So you're going to see some Cajun Craze color in here that gives it just a little bit more depth in your flower. My leaves, I used Apple Granny Green and Old Olive. I stamped Apple Granny Green. That's hard to say 3 times. And I did Old Olive on the outside. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and I'm going to start. Let me show you though. Here's my PDF I was talking about that I have. It has my card techniques, what's the name of it, the supplies I used, the directions, and then it has the additional supplies I used to make the card, and then the card directions. And all of this is on my Stamp Crazy VIP page on Facebook, which you can join, and you can pull these. You can pull all my previous techniques that I've started. I started this after the quarantine, so I don't really know how many I have right now. But like I said, I do these every Tuesday. So, I also, here's what I do with mine. Let me show you real quick. I don't know if I've shown this before, but I put mine in a card, in a notebook binder, and I just marked it card techniques and put all the information about when I do them, where, all that stuff, you know, just makes a nice binder. And then I put a binder edge in there that says card techniques. But I've got them listed alphabetical order, and I have my PDF that shows, and then I have on the back side of the page I have my card that I did. So I do that with each and every one of them. So if I want to come back, not only can I read how I did it, but I like a visual to see what I did. So I have my everything right here in one notebook, which makes it nice. Excuse me. Feels like I got a scratch in my throat or something. Okay, so now I'm going to start with the stamping. I'm going to show you the inside of my card, which we will finish that also, because I used one of the dies in here. So let's get started, okay? First off, I'm going to stamp 2 flowers because I'm using one on the outside of my card and one on the inside of my card. I'm going to start off with the Flirty Flamingo. And I'm going to start, if you have never used these stamps to Wild Rose, you can pick a corner and you can mark it with a Sharpie marker. And I've marked a little black mark right here on mine. And I did that on each section so I know where they match up. And I'll show you how I did this, but I did it on each one of them. And then that way I can match this up pretty quick. I got them all stuck together here. But anyway, so let's start. I'm going to start with my lightest color. And I'm going to take my dark mark here and I'm going to have it to my left side. And if I do that, then I kind of know, if I'm aware where that's at, when I put the next one down, I kind of know where to go. So let me stamp 2 of these flowers. And there we go with that. Now I'm going to come in with my Calypso Coral. And I'm going to stamp my second layer with the Calypso Coral, which is the one that's more solid, a solid stamp. So actually, this little point right here, I don't know if you can see that real good. Let me hold my scissors to it. Right here's a little point on the flower, and that's where I have my mark. So I'm going to take my mark and I'm going to line it up at that point. And sitting down, I'm having a hard time seeing it. I have old eyes, girls. So I'm just going to lay that down. Give it a good press. And I'm going to do that on my other flower. I have to stand up on one and sit down on the other, it looks like. This one I think I got a little off. Not too bad. Okay, now I'm going to take my birch background stamp, which is this right here. And I'm going to ink it up with my my Cajun Craze. I'm going to take Cajun Craze and I'm going to ink up my then what I want to do is I'm going to take this, my stamp I just did the second layer on. Whoops, I missed some spots on here. I want to make sure I have it inked good so wherever I hit it, I'm going to get some ink. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up. I'm just going to take my stamp and I'm going to stamp it down on my background stamp here. I'm going to lift it up. And you probably can't see in there, but there are some dark lines and stuff where I stamped that. I'm going to line that up with this flower. Press really hard. And there you're going to see my lines. Now I'm going to ink this up again since I'm doing 2 flowers. And the reason why I don't want to miss any spots. And you also, when you do this, each time you do it, you'll want to clean this stamp, because if you have any extra lines that might be lighter where you don't stamp, it might get a little messy. So I'm just going to ink this again. And then I'm going to take it and stamp one. And you'll see it looks two different ways with what I have, which is okay. Then I'm going to take my Cajun Craze back and I'm going to ink up my outline stamp. And I'm just going to layer that over my flower. And I'm going to do both of them that way. And there we go. And as you can see, especially the ink will, as it dries, it'll get a little bit lighter. So you can see, here's just 3-step stamping like I showed you. And then here it is with the flowers with the kissing technique. And see the difference in that? It just gives it a little bit more character. Especially, you know, no two's going to be alike. It's really a cool technique. Now what we want to do is we want to take, and we're going to cut this out with the die cut machine, with the coordinating dies that go with this set. The set's called Teal Wild Rose, the stamp set. And the die cuts are called Wild Rose. And here's the stamp set. And we're going to be using, we've used the 3 roses. We're going to use this leaf and this leaf together. And then I'm going to use the word hello. So I basically used just that stamp set except for my background stamp. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen these. I wanted to show these today. This is a little magnetic tray. And I got it at Harbor Freight. You can find it. It's a tool thing for like nuts and bolts and all that. But I use it for my dies on the dies that I'm using because they'll just stick in there and cling right to the side. When I'm having classes, I'll take the dies I'm using and I'll put them, I have a bigger one also, that I put the dies in we're using so that they stay all there together and I don't have to worry about them getting lost on the table. So right now, I'm going to take our Wild Rose. I'm going to stick it on my die cut machine here. And then I'm going to line up my, here is my, right there is that tip. I don't have it marked on here, but I've used this so much I kind of have it down pat. So I'm just going to stick my die cut on there. Put my plate over it, hold it down, run it through. And there I have one rose. Now I'm going to bring this plate back through. And I'm going to line up my next die. I think this set, I didn't even use it when it first came out. And now that I've used it, I just love it. And here's my next flower cut out. So that's all we do to cut our flowers out. I've already stamped the leaves and cut them out, that what we're going to be using, just to save us a little bit of time here on the video. I also used on my layers here, I used the Parisian embossing folder on my Flirty Flamingo paper, and I used the Settle embossing folder on this little piece of Cajun Craze, and it just helps give it a little bit more texture also. I like a lot of texture. I like things pop dotted, you know, with dimensionals and jewels. I just get into all of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I have a piece of white that I cut just to have an 1/8 inch border around it to make the make the Flirty Flamingo kind of pop away from the Calypso Coral card. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this on. I've got that glued on, and then I'm going to take my piece of Cajun Craze and I'm going to go ahead and glue that on also. I'm using the Tombow multi-purpose glue, which I absolutely love, because I have a little bit of time to wiggle that around where I want it. Okay, there's my 2 layers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my flowers for the front, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my 3 leaves, and here's my 3 leaves that I did, that I put on those, and I'm going to now get my snail adhesive, and I'm just going to add my leaves to the back of my flower. First I'll decide how I want my flower to be put on my card, which way I want it to lay. I think I like it laying this other way, like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to put my leaves on. So I'm just going to add these. And I'm just putting a little bit of snail adhesive because I'm going to be putting some dimensionals over top of this. So there's my leaves. That's how I'm going to add those today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and use my dimensionals and I'm going to add them to my flower. And I want to make sure that my flower stays popped up. I don't want, so I'm going to put a couple dimensionals out on my leaves so that they don't sag so much. It does look like I usually don't use this many, but for the sake of this flower and all the leaves, I went ahead and, not that I want to be frugal with the dimensionals, because if you think about them, you get 300 in a pack for like $4 or $5. So they're pennies, really. And they do so well holding your card up and give such a nice look. So now I'm going to stick this on my card. There we go. There's my flower. Okay, I'm going to take a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to take the word hello with the ink color Cajun Craze. I'm going to ink that up. And then just stamp it on my piece of scrap paper here. I'm going to use the 1.5 inch punch, and I'm going to just punch out the circle. There we go. Okay, I also am going to pop dot this, or use dimensionals. I call them pop dots just because I've been in the craft industry for so long. I worked in a craft store for 25 years before we closed, which was, gosh, a long time ago. Probably about 15 years ago. And I'm just going to put my hello right in under my flower a little bit. And that is my card, girls. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my rhinestones and my pick tool. And I'm just going to add a few rhinestones to my card. And there we go. We have some rhinestones added to that. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to fold my card base, which I didn't do at the beginning. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fold that. And if anybody is new on here, I use a Pampered Chef stone scraper to do all of my folding because I just like the way they feel. I am also going to use dimensionals, and I'm going to pop this card on my Calypso Coral card. Did a lot of pop that and a lot of raising on the card, but it's worthy. It's got such pretty color. Wonder what other colors would be pretty to go on here. I was thinking today, everyone I've made's been these colors because if you don't know me, Flirty Flamingo happens to be my go-to color. I absolutely love Flirty Flamingo. So anyway, now I'm going to take and I'm going to stick this on the front of my card. And now I'm ready to do the inside. So what I did for my inside, I took a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 Whisper White cardstock. I used my snail adhesive and just added some to this flower, and I put it down in the corner. Just put it on there really good, turned it over, cut the excess off. And we're going to add that to this inside of our card. Just gives our card a little bit more oomph, maybe. I'm surprised my glue got me through the day. I can feel it getting really empty. But I love using it because I can move my card around a little bit if I need to. Okay, girls, here's the front of the card. Girls and guys, if there's any guys on here, I don't mean to not include you. I'm just always talking to the girls, I guess. Here's the front of my card. And like I said, this is called Kissing with 3-step stamping because we used a 3-step stamp to do that. Instead of just, mostly the kissing technique, if you've been stamping a really long time and you've seen it, you take a solid stamp, you ink it up, you kiss it onto another stamp, you know, background or whatever, and then you stamp. Well, with 3-step stamping, you have to decide on which layer you're going to get that kissing technique in there. So anyway, I thought I'd bring it up to today's kind of stamping with the 3-step stamping. So I hope you enjoyed the card. I enjoyed making these. They're a lot of fun. The stamp set is great fun. If you don't have it or anything, you're thinking about a new stamp set. I know our new catalog comes out tomorrow. I can't wait. And if you don't have a demonstrator and you would like a catalog, you can comment to me, or you can send me a message, or get on my Facebook group and let me know there, whichever way, and I'd be more than happy to send you a catalog. And until next time, ladies, all I can say is happy stamping, and hope you get a chance to try the technique. And we'll see you later. Bye.